Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jimmy and this is Patriots Glow. And in today's video, I'm going to go ahead and do a very easy woodworking build that is cheap and effective, very minimal cuts, and it is something that any woodworker can do. It is very low cost and it can really bring in some high profit if you market this the correct way. Now, I've seen a couple of videos doing this build here, and I'm not actually building this to make any profit or to sell this at all. This is actually a gift that I plan on making for my father-in-law. So with such a short amount of time available to me, I am going to go ahead and make this build and see how fast I can get this done. So with this having to go out to him within the next couple of hours, I'm going to go ahead and knock this build out and get it. Okay, so first things first, I want to go over the type of wood that you want to use for this build. Now, I'm going to use pine, and majority of these builds that I see on Etsy are using pine. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple of different types of pine that you can use and the reasons that you would use different types of pine. Right here in front, you have Pine Select. This is going to be a higher grade pine, I guess you could say. It's more of a hand selected pine as they're going through cutting this down. Now, both of these boards are S4S, which means they're surface four sides. So everything is going to be dimensionally sound, but everything about this board is going to be better looking. There's not going to be as many knots. You're not going to have as many imperfections. Now, with my two different boards here, I did go through and make sure that both boards did not have many imperfections, but it takes more time while you're doing that. So if you look at the grain pattern, this does have a really nice grain pattern while you're looking at it. You can also get a regular piece of pine, which also does the same exact thing that you're going to need to do, especially for a build like this. Now, with this, you're not going to get as good of a grain pattern, and you're going to have all of these knots that come through here. But you can normally pick through the bundle and find something that does not have that many knots. But like I said, for a build like this, a few different tiny knots is not going to affect this build that much. With all of that being said, this board here costs twice the amount that this board does. You can get a 1x6x8 for roughly $10 of a regular pine board, but a Pine Select costs roughly $20 in the hardware store. So keep that in mind if you're going to purchase this to do this build. If you're going to buy the more expensive board, you're going to have to upcharge and round that out into your price that you're going to sell this for. Better wood, you have to sell for a higher price, or spend a little bit of extra time and look through this and try to get better wood. But since we are not selling this and we're not worried about our profit margin, we are going to go ahead and toss this aside and use our Pine Select. So let's get to it. Okay, so since we're working with a standard 1x6x8 feet, we're going to go ahead and just cut this in half. And you can do this as long or as short as you'd like, depending on how many hats you'd like to do. Oh, look at that. Don't forget to get all that sticky tape off of there. That'll be a little weird trying to give that out as a gift. Okay, so after you get that cut in half, what you're going to do is mark half of that board from one side to the other and use your board that you have and just mark all the way down that so that you have a straight line going all the way up your board. From there, what you're going to end up doing, and you can't really tell here, but I went up and marked 4 inches from the end all the way up the board, all the way 44 inches long. After you get done making all of those marks, we're going to go ahead and come over here to the drill press and use an 1.5 inch Forstner bit, and we are going to drill out all of those markings that we marked all the way up that board. So every 4 inches right in the middle of the board, you're going to actually drill a hole. Now, you don't have to have a drill press to do this. You can do this with a drill and a spade bit or a Forstner bit, as long as it's an 1.5 inches wide. Something else you want to also take into consideration, you can probably see I have a backer behind this board, and that's to prevent any blowout from happening from the backside so that you don't rip that board. Okay, so after you have all your holes drilled, you're going to come back over and mark the center of your holes, and then you're going to mark a 1/2 inch over. Now, I went ahead and sat here and marked all of these out going the wrong direction. Now, I could have done it this way, but the way that I actually put my miter saw when I make my miter cuts, it would have been going the opposite direction and not the way that I wanted to feed this board. So just make sure it is going the correct way. All right, so you're going to set your miter saw to 15 degrees, and you're actually going to cut on that center marking, and then you're going to cut on that 1/2 inch marking over. You can go a little bit further over one way or the other, but you want it roughly about a 1/2 inch away. And be very careful, especially when you're making these cuts. They're really small cuts, and you don't want to cut into that backside, but you also don't want to get your fingers, especially on that first cut, being so close. Always just make sure, especially when you're doing repetitive motions over and over again, that you stay aware and pay attention to what you're doing. Whatever you do, just make sure all of your cuts are the correct orientation to make sure that these will hold your hats. Because I'm pretty sure if they get cut the other way, your hats are going to slide off. All right, so we're going to go ahead and come back over here to this other piece that we're going to cut, and we are going to throw this design onto the board because I enjoy this design and I really like it, and I think it'll be nice for the backboard. Okay, so you're gonna have to watch this closely. I'm gonna come up here, grab my other router. I'm going to start with a roundover bit on the back side of a board that is going to attach to another board. I do not know why I would do this, but I rounded off something that was going to do a butt joint. So we went ahead and acted like that never happened. So I did go through and I went ahead and rounded all of these edges. You could do that with sandpaper if you'd like, but I really like the rounded over look, and it makes that easy to throw your baseball caps on there and off of there. So I went ahead and finished all that up. That spot that I went ahead and for some reason threw a round over curve on that, all I ended up doing to fix that was took this board over to the table saw and went ahead and made one strip down the back of that to fix that. I just wanted to throw it out there. You know, we all make mistakes. Look at it like this. I mean, I wouldn't even be in this world if my parents wouldn't have had the mistake of making me, but look at me now. So just remember, if you're having problems, keep it going. You'll be okay. There's always a way to resolve the issues that you have going for you. So we went ahead and come through with a couple of sandpaper grits, sanded everything down, made everything nice and smooth. All right, we're going to go ahead and come through here with the Bombay Mahogany again. I really like this. I think my father-in-law will enjoy this color as well. He does not like the darker stains. I do like the darker stains, but this one I think is going to be light enough, something he will enjoy. So let's go ahead and get everything stained up, looking good. All right, so this is going to go ahead and move us right along into trying to line this up so that we can attach the two boards together. And I know it's going to look kind of weird what I've got going on here, but I'm going to measure both sides, make sure it's right in the middle, and then I'm going to clamp this side and the other side down, and I'm going to flip it on its backside, and I'm going to go ahead and start drilling it in. Once I get 2 screws into the other side, it's not a big deal, and I go ahead and unclamp it and put the rest of the screws in. That was the easiest way I found to do it right here, but I'm sure there's plenty of other ways to go ahead and screw this in, and I'm sure somebody will let me know. All right, so there you go. I'll end up throwing some key slot hardware in the back here so he can hang this up in the hallway for him to hang up all of his hats. Here are a couple of hats to show you a demonstration. All they do, your hat folds in like this, and they slide in, and they all sit right here so that you can demonstrate them and see what you want. You just pull them off, slide them back in there when you're done with them. Perfect, easy to do. Anybody can do it. They're really easy cuts, simple to do. Everything that I used, anything that I put into this, I'll go ahead and link in the description box below. Go ahead, click on those. Helps the channel, helps you guys out. If you guys want a pair of hearing protection, I also have my affiliate link down there for ISO tunes. They have really great hearing protection. Pick yourself up a pair today, and I will catch you guys in the next video.